Dear brothers and sisters, let us continue the book reading Reality at Dawn, chapter Ways and Means. In order to control our thoughts and actions, we have to look to the proper working of the mind, which is never at rest even for a moment. I have often heard religious teachers railing at it in bitterest terms, ascribing all bad names to it and proclaiming it to be our worst enemy. The reason is quite plain. They think it to be the cause of all evil within us, and consequently they advise people to crush it and not to follow its biddings. But generally people find it a hard task to restrain the diverse activities of the mind or to disregard its biddings. Their theoretical advice and lecture in this respect are therefore not of much avail to them, and almost none of those attending their lectures have ever been able to achieve the object in a practical way. Besides, the present circumstances and the environments too contribute much towards the ever increasing activities of the individual mind. Almost everyone today feels his life to be a hard struggle for existence, confronting acute problems of poverty, insecurity, distress, and rivalry, and it is almost impossible to keep himself free from its effects. The result is the constant unrest and disturbance of mind. We breathe in the same thing from the atmosphere and are consequently led away by circumstances and surroundings. Our individual mind has become the weathercock, turning its face at every blast towards the direction in which the wind blows. The real hero in the struggle is one who braves them courageously and keeps himself free from their effect. Here, Babuji Maharaj is saying us about the mind. In order to control our thoughts, which are wandering here and there, and also our actions, what we have to do? We have to look to the proper working of the mind, or we have to train our mind in a proper direction. Babuji Maharaj is saying that he heard the religious teachers or so-called gurus telling bitter terms and ascribing all bad names to the mind and proclaiming it to be our worst enemy. Why it is like that? The reason is very simple. They think that it is the cause of all evils within us, and consequently those gurus will advise the people to crush the mind and not to follow its biddings. But generally people who hear all those preachings find it a hard task to restrain the diverse activities of our mind or to disregard its bidding. It is really a tough job, isn't it? It is not possible because we are used to it. We are used to listen its biddings. So, their theoretical advice and lecture in this respect, therefore, is not of much avail to the people, and almost none of those who are attending their lectures have ever been able to achieve the object in a practical way. Besides, Babuji Maharaj is saying the present circumstances and environments, they too contribute much towards the ever increasing activities of the individual mind, isn't it? People are running behind the achievement of material things. One or the other way. So, these things will contribute towards the increasing mental activities. And almost everyone today feels that his life to be a hard struggle for existence and confronting acute problems of poverty, insecurity, distress, and rivalry, and it is almost impossible to keep oneself free from its effects, isn't it? God has created us to live on this earth, but unfortunately, people or human beings are struggling for it. To fulfill their daily needs or the basic requirements, or to overcome the poverty and insecurity, the people are striving hard and struggling for it. As a result of this, the constant unrest and disturbance of mind pervading everywhere in this world. So, we breathe in the same thing from the atmosphere, isn't it? Because the atmosphere is filled with the thoughts only. When we think and when we struggle for it, the same atmosphere is created all around us. The person who is living in that atmosphere is influenced by that atmosphere. So, he is led away by circumstances and surroundings. And then our individual mind has become the weathercock, that is, the mission which shows the direction of wind. So it turns its face at every blast towards the direction in which the wind blows. So we are also turning our face in the direction of the wind, that is, this material world. So the real hero, Babaji Maharaj is saying, that is he who is in the struggle but who braves them courageously and keeps himself free from their effect. That means whatever the circumstances may be, and whatever the surroundings may be, and whatever even the atmosphere may be, I will be in the remembrance of my Master always. I will always remember him, and I want to become one with him, and I live in him. If this is the condition, then he is called as the hero. That's what Babaji Maharaj is saying. That too, real hero. Let us read further. I no doubt agree with those who say that every evil has its origin in the mind, and which alone is therefore responsible for it, though at the same time I may remind them that it is the very same mind that leads us to virtue and also helps us to realize our highest self. So it is not every evil alone that proceeds from the mind, but also every good. Hence, those who condemn it in the bitterest terms have no justification for it at all. It is really only due to the defective moulding of the mind, and what is actually required is not the crushing or the killing of the mind, but merely its proper training. The mind is like the pendulum of a clock. the clock goes all right so long as the movement of the pendulum is regulated. If it is disturbed, the clock is out of order. Similarly, for this human clock, it is necessary that the movement of the mind be well regulated and adjusted. The methods of mold the mind and regulate its activity are also very simple. Here Babuji Maharaj is saying that no doubt I agree with the people who say that every evil has its origin in the mind and which alone is therefore responsible for it. Though at the same time Babuji Maharaj is reminding them that it is the very same mind that leads us to virtue and also helps us to realize our highest self, isn't it? That is the only tool to realize our highest self or God realization. So, it is not every evil alone that proceeds from the mind, but also every good. So, both good and evil will start from the mind only. Hence, those who condemn it in the bitter terms have no justification for it at all. That's what Babuji Maharaj is saying. Because it is a tool for our realization also, from which all the virtues are born. So, it is really only due to the defective molding of our mind. And what is actually required is not the crushing or killing of the mind, but merely its proper training. We should not curb the mind, control the mind. Just we have to train it. We have to transform it. We have to change its direction towards that ultimate reality. So the mind is like the pendulum of a clock. If pendulum works properly, then clock shows us correct time, isn't it? If its movement is not regulated properly, then the clock shows us incorrect time. Similarly, for this human clock, it is necessary that the movement of the mind be well regulated and adjusted. Then only all our activities will run in a track. And for this, the methods to mold our mind and regulate its activities, the process is very simple. It is nothing but our Sahaj Marg system, what Babuji Maharaj has derived to regulate our mind in a proper direction. If one follows Sahaj Marg system sincerely, then definitely one can see the result of regulating his own mental tendencies. So, dear brethren, with this I conclude today's satsang. Let us know more aspects in the forthcoming satsang. Till then, I take leave. Pranams. Namaste.